We had a couple of complications before the show, but you guys aren't going to concern yourselves with that. So let's get a rousing chorus of, they're late in the Twitch chat, and we can all get it out of our system.
Linus late or late Linus or whatever. I don't remember. They say something. They're probably saying it right now.
They're probably saying it right now, so it would be helpful if we actually looked at that. You're kind of cut off. If I kind of scooched over a little bit, would that help? I didn't really scooch. I just want to sit closer to him. So let's go ahead and have a look at what our topics are for the day. It's actually a surprisingly jam-packed show, so it's unfortunate that we weren't able to get started on time. We had to replace the batteries in the microphone. I realized right before the show, normally we leave everything all set up so that we can get things going pretty quickly, and then I was like, oh yeah, our last WAN show was in Vegas. We took our streaming gear to Vegas. It's not set up, so we had to get everything all set back up again. But other than that, we are pretty much ready to rock here. So some sort of top topics today. Microsoft and Google are scrapping over patch fixing policies and sort of, airing dirty laundry in public about each other's bug reports. The new Nintendo 3DS to not include a power adapter in North America.
Are you beautiful?
I am.
You might be able to eat for free at a certain restaurant, and GTA 5 has been delayed.
Eat what exactly?
General food? Super normal things?
I'm trying to make like a beautiful face. It's not going very well. Okay, go ahead.
I'm done.
Oh.
That was it.
GTA 5 delayed? That's all you're going to say about it?
Yeah.
Right, because we're going to save it for later on in the show.
Go.
Boom, intro.
Da da da.
That's not the music for our intro. It's...
If
Ramstein...
Welcome to the WAN Show.
Ramstein intro.
Metal Edition.
And our sponsors today are Squarespace. Make an awesome website with Squarespace. It doesn't have to be square. It could be widescreen. And lynda.com. You don't have to read a book, but you could. But that's not really what lynda.com is about. All right, so it's going to be a good show today, guys.
Yep.
We're going to kick off with something that's actually not new at all. This article is from like
fairly old now.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And we even, I know it says it's old, but we never discuss it. We did.
Oh,
we just both were like, psh, whatever.
Oh, all right.
And just agreed that it was stupid and moved on.
At any rate, boom, here's the BBC article. I'll go ahead and screen share with you guys, but WoW Maker says that video games should be in the Olympics. And there are some arguments on either side of this. Video games. See, I went and I used one of those words that mainstream media uses to, make it seem less legitimate.
What did you say?
I called them video games.
Oh.
I should have called them eSports, excuse me. Very different.
What?
I'm being a little bit facetious.
Okay.
Right now. Just a touch. Okay. So there are a couple good points that the WoW creator brings up. I'm just going to go ahead and switch back to my laptop here so I can look at what they were because I don't memorize all these things. So number one is that they're well positioned to be a spectator sport, given that you can fill tens of thousands of spectator coliseum for a live event in some parts of the world. And I mean, the North American viewers out there might kind of go, well, yeah, but just because you can kind of do it there doesn't mean that it should be a big deal. Well, I mean, the reality of it is North America is not the center of the universe, and I don't know if this is still true, and it was either 2008 or 2012. My facts are a little bit hazy here, but I believe it was the badminton men's singles gold medal match that was the most watched sporting event of that entire Summer Games Olympics, and it's basically non-existent in North America.
Yeah,
so,
I thought you were going to say like ever, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was something to do with soccer, but yeah. Okay.
No, just because no one watches it here doesn't necessarily,
and people watch it here, and people go to live gaming events here.
It's pretty rare. I know they did one at the Staples Center.
Yeah,
but that's kind of it. It's like, yeah, there was that one they did at the Staples Center. That doesn't make it an Olympic.
It happens, but not on the same scale at all.
Yes.
Same, I guess. Similar with tennis. People watch it, but not on the same scale.
So, and then the other argument is I think the way you look at esports is as a very competitive skill set, and you're looking at these professional gamers with reflexes that are lightning quick and quick decision making, you know, upwards of 300 actions per minute, although the whole actions per minute metric is one of those ones that I think we've pretty much stopped acknowledging at this point, I hope. And so, you know, the comment is video games would first need to win a cultural battle over physical sports. So, with all of that said, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, has already kind of laid down the law as far as, you know, new events goes. They're only going to have a fixed number of events, so that means that if you want to add something, you have to remove something else. And as questionable as some of the things in the Olympics, I actually don't follow Summer Olympics as closely as I do Winter Olympics, but I mean, come on, figure skating and ice dancing? Like, really? And someone's going to give me crap over this. In fact, I hope my new contact at Sony isn't watching right now because, yeah, she's... actually, no, she's a figure skating judge, not an ice dance judge. And my understanding is figure skaters, for the most part, look at ice dance as kind of... Why are you even here?
Figure skating in its own regard is pretty freaking intense. I don't know much about ice dance.
Ice dance is... kind of like figure skating, but
with a partner, right?
More dancing. No, figure skating has partners too. Like that's exactly
I
it.
don't know much about. I don't.
Where it's just like, why do we need both of them?
Okay, yeah.
We should probably
but
just.
But like, it's figure skating is quite physically challenging.
So okay, I guess whether or not they win this battle is going to come down to whether they can find something less worthy to knock out. And whether or not it's possible to win the battle of should what is effectively, yes, there's a physical component, but yeah, you can't really even say.
Well, no, like the a point at the bottom of this where it's a mind sport is a really good point.
Because chess supporters have wanted chess to be in the Olympics for a long time, and I think if you were to look at the Olympics as sort of, you know, it's a traditional thing. It's all about the legacy of whatever it is, and esports being very new probably don't necessarily fall under that. Chess would. I mean, chess has a long history, and if we're not going to include that, then should we include esports first?
If we included stuff like chess, I think it would make more sense. Because we have added newer sports to the tradition of the Olympics.
But of course, there's the business aspect as well. Going back to the if you're going to do esports, you should probably do chess argument, because compared to esports, chess doesn't draw nearly the same kind of a crowd.
No, I meant the other way around. If they were doing chess already, it would make more sense for them to do.
Then esports is a no-brainer.
Including the mind game stuff. Should we close the door?
Yeah, I'll close the door because those guys are loud. Yeah. Do you want to move into our next topic?
Sure. I don't think there was really much to say on that. It's just the mind sport thing that comes down to it, in my opinion. They don't do the mind sport stuff.
I mean, with that said, okay, something like throwing a javelin. Okay, this is not a mind sport. But
okay, I thought you were going to be like, that's a mind sport. I was like, dude.
No, something like hockey, on the other hand, though, there is a huge mental component. So, yes, it's physical.
Well, there's a mental component to every sport.
Javelin throwing?
There's a mental component to it.
Okay, there's a mental... Okay, I shouldn't have said mental. I should have said mind. Because they're not... The connotation is slightly different. You don't use your mind to throw a javelin, but there's like a mental resilience under pressure component to any competition, whether it's a physical one or anything else.
You still use your mind to throw a javelin.
Okay, you used your mind to throw a javelin. We're not talking frickin' telekinesis here. We're talking about you use your mind to tell the arm that it should probably go ahead and do this.
No, I know, but also if you're in outdoor stadiums, you have to judge other things. Like it's anyways. There's no point in arguing this. But you have to use your brain in every sport. But it's like, anyways, whatever. Google. Oh, should we just go into the Google versus Microsoft thing?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh God. Okay. So there's essentially two stories to this. So I'm going to start with the first story. Google. What the? Okay, someone messed with my notes here a little bit.
Did you copy the link already? I'm doing it.
No, I did not. Okay, sorry. Okay. I will do that from now on. If I make sure I'm logged in. Google released details on a security vulnerability in Windows 8.1 48 hours before Microsoft was ready to release a patch for it. Microsoft claims, and I believe Google is not refuting this at all, that they were in contact with Google and were like, guys, we're releasing a patch for this in 2 days.
Patch Tuesday.
Please don't. do this. And then Google was like, nope, releasing it. Google's whole idea for this, and Microsoft is calling for them to be more flexible and work with them in the future when it has to do with the vulnerabilities of millions and millions of users. Google's rebuttal is that they have a standard 90-day policy when it comes to releasing data about vulnerabilities, and the policy and the reason this exists and all that kind of stuff is to pressure companies into fixing vulnerabilities more quickly. Now, when it was already fixed and it was coming out in 2 days, maybe that shouldn't apply, but that is their policy, so that's what they're doing. Story 2 is that, so there's that fight already going on. Story 2 is that while Google is slamming on other companies to fix vulnerabilities, they have their own problems. Google has received reports for vulnerability in WebView, which is a web renderer for Android, and it affects Jelly Bean users. The article that we have linked here to NeoWin is claiming that Jelly Bean is 60% of users. It's actually more about 46% of users.
Of Android users.
Of Android users.
To be clear.
Yeah. If it's 60 if you include the things before Jelly Bean, but I wasn't entirely certain if this vulnerability affected things that were before Jelly Bean as well.
Right.
So it's 46 or 60. I'm not entirely sure.
Either way, it's hundreds of millions.
Yes, it's a massive percentage of people. And Google is refusing to fix it and will not work on it at all because they will not work on anything at all that is pre 4.4 KitKat. Google is stating that if someone wants a fix for this, they can submit the patch in the report, and then Google will check it out, and if it's legitimate, they'll send it to OEMs and see what the OEMs decide.
And then the other option is they're saying the OEMs are more than welcome to patch it themselves. Which, I mean, if anyone here has ever bought, like, I'm going to pick on Samsung because they're the biggest one in the Android space.
Any hardware manufacturer that makes software?
Yeah, any handset manufacturer that makes their own skin on top of Android and basically supports it until the next flagship is out. Oh, what's that? Hold on. New one's out? Oh, bye. See ya. So pretty much that's it. You get to buy a new device, or you get to, and I mean, I'm so sick of people saying, "Oh, well, you should just root and run a different ROM." Nobody does that. Like, someone does it. Yes, you do. That's fine.
But when you're looking at that 46 to 60% possible metric of people, an extremely small percentage of that.
The people who are still running Jelly Bean probably don't do that, because they probably wouldn't still be running Jelly Bean. And when you consider that there are new devices being sold today
that have Jelly Bean
now running Jelly Bean, like, this is a huge problem.
And like, not a small amount of them. There's a fair amount of devices being sold now that have Jelly Bean on them.
And I understand Google's issue here, where they have such diversity in the hardware that Android can be running on that they can't individually support every device, and ultimately it does fall on the handset makers to support the devices that they sell. But the cold hard truth is the handset makers or device makers aren't doing it. And if Google doesn't support these older devices, at least with something like a widespread fundamental flaw like this, if they opt not to support it, it ultimately reflects poorly on the Android experience and gives more ammunition to people like me. You know, it's amazing how many people called me an Apple fanboy or like iPhone fanboy in my Nexus 6 review.
You know, okay, I haven't even watched it. I've heard of it. And I'm going to watch it. This last 2 weeks has been a blur.
But can I finish that thought first?
Sure, yeah.
It gives more ammunition to people like me who praise Apple for supporting their older devices much, much better than handset makers on the Android side. I still use my iPhone 4 almost every day as an MP3 player and a video streamer. Just if I'm in the bath or something and I don't want to risk dropping my actual phone, I'll grab it and I'll throw it there, and it still runs everything I need it to do. My wife's Samsung Galaxy S Vibrant. That was the equivalent flagship Android phone. Okay, aside from the micro USB connector obviously dying, because every single micro USB connector with,
I think the one on my Moto X is already going.
Because they will all die eventually. It's a terrible, terrible connector. Aside from that dying on it, that thing was freaking useless by the end of its life, and that is a pattern that continues and comes right from Google on the Android side when Apple does not do that. But that said, I'm not an Apple fanboy. In fact, my daily driver right now is an Android phone. Whoa, look at that. Well, you can't really tell because that's a Twitter app, but Okay, sorry, what were you going to say?
I'm conflicted now because you've probably known for a while now I haven't been super stoked with my Moto X because it only lasts for half a day. But this is my problem consistently with phones is there's no real great solution. I don't want to go to iOS because I don't like iOS. But things that I do on the phone a lot, Twitter, Instagram, social media stuff, email, all of that would work totally fine on iOS. Actually, Instagram would work considerably better, and I would know the camera's good. Now I could just do more research and find an Android phone that has a good camera, but iPhone cameras are very good, and it would be totally fine, and my Instagram would work better. A lot of app support on iOS is better, which is frustrating because I'm an Android guy and I want to stick with Android. Now, I'm interested in a Turbo, but they don't even really sell them in Canada.
They don't sell them at all in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can try and import them, you can do all this other crap, but it's super frustrating. Like, God, this sucks. There's no good solution on the Android side, in my opinion, at all. At
Nexus
least
5
for
was
me
excellent.
in Canada. I'm honestly, not really.
Well, it was cheap.
Battery was crap.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem.
Right.
Like, God,
Mind
phones
you,
just suck.
the iPhone's battery is crap too. Like
I know.
If you
That's what I'm
actually,
saying. There's no good
the
solutions.
standby is excellent, but the
Yeah.
actual in-use battery life is terrible. Like at CES, I was using the iPhone 6 because Phantom Glass doesn't have a cover for the Droid Turbo, so
Yeah.
I wasn't able to use it. But yeah, so I was using the iPhone 6 every day. I was down to single-digit battery at the end of the day, and one day it just died while I was out and about. I had to charge it. I'm kind of sitting here going, I can't even get through a
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
with this phone. This is ridiculous. Whereas the Droid Turbo is awesome, like every single day, no matter what I do to it.
And like people in Twitch chat are referring phones that are not good.
OnePlus One.
Not
Actually,
good.
the OnePlus One is supposedly
used it?
okay. I haven't used it
The
yet.
experience is not great. I've used one of my friends. It's not awesome. And there's like stuff you have to go and fix yourself because it's just broken.
It's
like
way
that's
too big
so
for me.
stupid. Yeah, or they're too big or like other crap. It's just ugh. I do not like phones because I think they're garbage.
You should get the the Synco phone. You know the Synco phone, right?
Isn't this
Phone. Yeah. Okay, we have to play this. We have to play this. This is an Adult Swim thing. Who knows? I might get a copyright strike or whatever. I don't care. Okay.
Watch it be like, cannot be played in your region. Oh no, you're good.
Hold on.
Revolutionary new device, the new Synco phone from Synco Mobile. The great thing about the Synco phone, it has one button and one only. Let's say I want to call my mom. Press it on, open both the antennas for better reception. Then the number 555 Oh,
Simply press no times for 0. Have you seen this?
9. And then and the best feature of the
What?
Synco phone, you cannot receive calls with it. You can only make calls. You'll never be bothered again at work, your leisure time out on the golf course or at the beach.
So, is that your phone? Like, is that the point we're at right now?
That doesn't solve any of my problems at all.
No, it
I don't
really
know.
doesn't.
They didn't even talk about battery life.
Speaking of not solving problems, Nintendo to halt console and software distribution in Brazil. So this article is from digitalspy.co.uk. I'm going to go ahead and post that in the chat here. And what a bummer for Brazilians.
Yeah, really.
Like, just, I don't blame Nintendo for this at all.
Yeah, and like it's not like they're like, oh, we're never gonna be distributing in Brazil. They're just talking about how they're having issues with it right now. I'm assuming they're gonna try and fix those issues and then come back. But
So basically, they and their Brazilian distributor, who is apparently still handling distribution for that area, just not in Brazil specifically, have both said, yeah, like we still have a relationship and we're committed to reevaluating things as time goes on. But basically, due to and apparently there are other issues as well that they're not really getting into, but they're saying the distribution model in the country is unsustainable, and most of this is thanks to the extremely high import tariffs on anything that's manufactured outside of Brazil. Now, this is something that the Brazilian government did a number of years back to I guess incentivize companies to make their own manufacturing facilities within Brazil, because if you make something in Brazil, whether it's a car or your PlayStation 4, if you make something within the country, it's not subject to those tariffs. And I can understand why they might want to do this from a job creation perspective.
Did you link this?
I'm sorry?
Did you link this?
Yeah.
Oh.
And also to encourage foreign investment into, high technology manufacturing facilities within Brazil. But the reality of it is, Brazil is just Brazil. And setting up new manufacturing in, if every country started doing this and you had to set up manufacturing in every single country, not only would it drive up the cost of that product within that country, it would drive it up everywhere because it creates all this overhead for these companies. So, to put this in perspective, like people might be going, well, there's import tax in the UK and in Canada and everywhere. But to put it in perspective, the $400 PlayStation 4, this is from the digitalspy.ca article, was priced at $1,800 after import fees when it arrived in Brazil. And that's converted. That's not in Brazilian dollars or anything like that. That's a straight currency conversion. I mean, it's not like Brazil is Dubai, where you might expect the average resident to be able to afford to pay 4+ times more than, anyone else in the world. And obviously I'm generalizing. I know not everyone in Dubai is loaded. But the point is, it's not like Brazil is an extraordinarily wealthy country where everyone is going to be walking around with $2,000 to drop on a game console. Yeah. And then, over $100 per game. I mean, that's ridiculous. So basically, I guess they're going to reevaluate, and I hope
it really sucks for people in Brazil.
It really does, because now how are they gonna get them? The only other option is gonna be
I'm like, okay, how does it work if you bought something on like Amazon.com and got it shipped to you?
Yeah, same thing. The import tariffs will still
hit by import tariffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rough.
All right, so this is from Hexus.net. I'm just going to go ahead and...
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
SSDs?
Yeah. This is from Hexus.net, and a report on the state of flash memory and disk storage has predicted that using SSDs will become more economical than hard drives for most purposes from 2016 onward. The prediction applies to almost all storage, but seems like the highest capacities will remain the forte of spinning disks for a little bit longer. Wikibon followed up its 2009 report with another recently focusing on evolution of all flash array architectures. Blippity bloopity bloopity bloop. So this one right here shows 4-year cost per terabyte for capacity disks and NAND flash. So they figure in 2016, so between 2015 and the beginning of 2016, we're going to go from flash costing, let's see, a scale of this here. So whatever, 40% more, all the way down to only about, less than half.
It's a massive drop.
Yeah. So for one thing, I haven't really seen this exact ratio at this time. So they're assuming that'll happen in 2015. So good luck. And two, talking to a couple SSD makers at CES, they kind of went, 2016, are you high? We're a long way away. And you look at the difficulty that even Intel has had moving to 14 nanometer, although we haven't seen any indication that 10 nanometer is going to slip.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It would be great.
It's kind of insane. And, like, at the same time, I just had the problem where my SSD completely died. Mm-hmm. And while, all right, SSD failure rates are actually really good, the problem is not really recoverable. So I'm still going to want to have most of my mass storage on hard disk anyways.
That's actually a very good point. Not something that I thought about when it comes to mass storage.
Being able to buy like a terabyte SSD for my boot drive, sweet. And have it be like totally affordable, like that's awesome. I totally want to be able to do that.
But you're still not going to archive on it.
I'm still not going to archive on it.
Right.
Not at all. There's no way. My NAS will be running hard disks. And unless something super major changes, but I seriously doubt it, because that way, if there is a huge failure, I can just be like, okay, well, I can probably scrub data off this.
That's a good point, because I hate running hard drives on anything portable. Like,
yep.
I thought iPods were insane.
Yeah.
When they had hard drives, and I was like, what are you just hitting the bottle?
Asking for this to die? Yeah.
Like I was one of those freaks that bought an RCA Lyra. Because
I bought a Zen Creative some other stuff. because it wasn't a hard drive. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
and
remember what it was
I
called.
paid way too much for my Lyra, and it only had, I think I had one, and my girlfriend at the time had one. One of us had a 64 meg, and the other one had a 32 meg. So we're talking like 10 to 20 MP3 music files on this thing.
I miss those things.
But I was like, okay, and so that was like compared to people with iPods, right? But there was a justification behind this. So number one is it wasn't a hard drive based, so flash storage, yay, throw it around, and all that's good. And number two is that at the time, I was using a Sony Discman anyway. So when you're burning yourself a mix CD, that's only going to be about, 16 to 22 songs, or because you didn't have MP3 CDs at the time where you could just burn the files to it. So you were only going to have about 20 songs on a disc anyway. So I was like, okay, well, this thing is the equivalent of whatever mix CD that I would be burning for myself. And yeah, it's a couple $100 or whatever, but at least it's pretty rugged.
I used to love the days of like, all right, I have woken up, time to change what songs are on my MP3 player because I can only hold one album worth at a time. That was always entertaining. But yeah, I don't see myself changing archival storage mediums for a very long time.
On the subject of archival storage mediums, this is really interesting. Maybe I just haven't been paying we haven't been saying who's been posting articles in the forum. We're bad people. It was iHanny for the eSports thing. Good Bytes. Shout out to you for the Google not patching the security hole thing. Opcode for something. X-Tank Slayer X for Nintendo to halt console. And okay, that was it. Okay, so this one's by Ming. New service allows you to rent your hard disk space. Have you posted the article already?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the myce.com article here, but it's called Storage, and it's spelled wrong because that's the hipster Web 2.0
Like
thing
Siren.
to do. Yeah, like the Razer Siren. It's like, what are you guys doing? It's like you're celebrities and you're naming your children or something. So Storage, storj.io is where you can go to learn about this, and it sounds really cool on the surface. Last year, they raised about $215,000 in Bitcoins. Apparently, according to this article, that's using today's Bitcoin valuation. So at the time, if they converted them
Hopefully they did. Yeah.
promptly, then that was actually
That
a
would
lot.
be,
A lot more money. But the way it's going to work is it's a peer-to-peer network that allows you to allocate storage on your computer, so on your hard drive or SSD, whatever the case may be, and go, okay, yeah, I've got 300 gigs of storage I'm not using, and then it actually gives you that much storage space elsewhere on the network to use as cloud-based storage.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And then... Sorry, go ahead.
There's other ways you can utilize this too. I believe you can request more, but then you have to pay for it.
Yes.
And then other people can kind of rent out their space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
One quick thing to note about the rent out your space is you get paid in, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like Storage IO coin.
Storage coin X.
Yeah.
A digital valuta? I haven't seen this word before. I'm going to call it currency.
Yeah.
Which can be exchanged for real money.
Yeah. So you don't actually get paid to like your PayPal in dollars. You get paid in this thing. So you can figure that out, convert it or whatever.
But I mean, think about it. Like if you planned to use this service in the long term, you could go ahead and invest in a large RAID array or something like that. You could rent out until you fill it, and then you could start using your stored, like your built up storage currency to rent from other people until you can save up some money in order to, buy a new RAID array or whatever else. Like I can see this being a really, really cool way to get the most out of your personal storage.
Things to remember is that current cloud-based storage is not that expensive, to be completely honest. And this is supposed to be
cheap.
No, this is supposed to be a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably not, and then after their cuts and stuff, you're probably not going to get a ton for renting out your space.
No.
But if you weren't using it anyways, then that's still cool, and you might actually be able to theoretically make more money off of renting your hard drive space, use a lot less power compared to running Bitcoin miners.
Right.
Which would be kind of funny.
And I mean, one way to look at it too is it's more like storage shifting almost at a certain point, because you could kind of go, I don't need all the space I have on my desktop computer. which I hardly ever touch anymore because I'm always running around with my notebook or my smartphone or whatever else. But you're converting that to cloud storage that you can use in your smartphone.
Pretty cool.
And so the way it works is it actually breaks up blocks, and those are either 32 meg or 8 meg, if I recall correctly. Yeah, 8 meg or 32 meg blocks, and then it actually distributes everything all over the place. So aside from encrypting them, you shouldn't like one person's hard drive, aside from having an encrypted version of your data, shouldn't even have the entire piece of data in many cases. So it's in theory secure. I'm not endorsing its security.
Yeah.
Let's be really clear about that. This is something I hadn't heard of up till now. And there is definitely a gray zone here. So each block of data has a unique hash. It should be possible to add illegal content to a so-called gray list, and then it should be possible for users to allow or disallow gray list content to be stored on their hard drive, because this creates a huge liability concern. Like, what if I get raided because my hard drive has a bunch of child porn on it? Like, let's go worst case scenario. It's got a bunch of child porn on it that I didn't even know was there and was encrypted, so I didn't even have any way of discovering that it was there. And so probably...
And then the other way around.
Yeah. And then the other way around.
You use this maliciously to try and take blame off of yourself for doing something like that.
So... yeah, and it'll use your bandwidth, of course, because the way it works is it's a mesh-based network. So in order to keep speeds high, you're actually pulling from multiple sources, and in much the same way, just like torrenting, you would have multiple seeds, including yourself, uploading files to other people at the same time. So very cool idea. I might consider giving it a try.
It would be it's a very interesting thing. I'd be interested in giving it a try too. I'm definitely not going to check off that gray content thing.
Definitely not. Even though it might not even help, because I don't know how they're flagging gray content.
But I'm sure it's not very effective.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not going to capture stuff like child porn. I'm sure if it captured anything, it would be stuff like movies.
Read the file name. It's not very effective.
Called JPEG 1. Didn't work. But yeah, I'm sure it's more for like movies.
More like, Nintendo
does this file match Iron Man 4? Oh, okay, well, you can't have it.
More Nintendo BS. Nintendo is no longer including in the new DS XL, 3DS XL. They're not the same thing.
This time it's their fault.
Like, really, guys?
This time it's like super their fault.
This was posted by Rohith Kumar SP. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up on my computer here. But the new Nintendo 3DS XL does not come with an AC adapter. Nintendo says there's a good reason for that, and that's that rather than to raise the cost of the 3DS XL by charging consumers for a component they may already own, we are giving them the option to only buy it if they need an AC adapter. And that is an interesting argument, and you could probably make that argument for something like a smartphone that uses micro USB instead of a proprietary connector that they haven't even been using for that long. I mean, if you're a DS Lite owner, that's not going to work. So, Nintendo... and apparently it's an $8 adder, although Luke was saying that when he saw them in the store, they were significantly more than that.
Yeah, well, it's an $8 from Nintendo. If you buy it from a brick and mortar or something, it could be more expensive.
I mean, can you imagine giving that to someone for Christmas?
There's stories in the news article about people that bought it for Christmas for their kid with a game. The kid opened both of them and was like, oh, crap, because this is already a thing in certain Asian markets.
I think Europe
and
Japan
markets.
For sure.
Yeah. So like it's already a thing in places, and people are already upset about it. People are going, well, like, you don't do this in the States, so their decision was to also do it in the States. That's not how you solve that problem. Oh my goodness, you just stop doing it everywhere. Because like, okay, I've owned iterations of DS where
you've got a 2DS now, right?
Yeah. Where if I bought this new one, it would be fine. But if I bought the new one, I would give my 2DS to someone with the charger.
And not everyone,
that makes sense.
Not everyone is Brandon and just buys half a dozen charging cables for everything they own. And another simple solution here would be for Nintendo to stop using a proprietary connector on it. It's just a 5-volt power source.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no reason on Earth.
I thought it was Mini B.
It looks like Mini B.
When I had, what was it? My DS Lite, so admittedly a different connector. I thought it was Mini B, so I lost my charger for a while and then just went and found a Mini B cable and was like, why doesn't it work? What's wrong? I was like, what is this? Oh.
So there's new MacBook Air rumors. And there's conflicting reports. I was hearing for a while that they were going to do away with the MagDot connector, their magnetic charging cable. I was hearing so this is the most recent version. So it's rumored that it will be so thin that it will not have room for a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, which is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot imagine Apple being. I shouldn't say that. I truly hope Apple wouldn't be that stupid, so stupid as to remove the 3.5-inch connector. Maybe the justification is, we're going to have an awesome new Bluetooth Beats headphone or something like that, but that is ridiculous. So there's other stuff. It will apparently have a Retina screen. It's a 12-inch. It's going to be super thin. It's allegedly going to have a fanless design. So far, it actually sounds very similar to the ZenBook UX305 that we checked out at CES, which is also extraordinarily thin, has a 3200 by 1800 pixel display, is fanless, which is cool, and features a Broadwell M processor, which is what allows it to be fanless and still deliver decent performance. So the new MacBook Air will apparently have a USB 3.1 interface rather than Thunderbolt.
Oh.
Which is fascinating to me because Apple's been the only one that really has glommed onto the Thunderbolt standard, and many Mac people are already invested into the Thunderbolt ecosystem. Now, bear in mind, USB 3.1 at 10 gigabit per second and with up to 100 watts of power output is a very capable connector. But
it's still a little weird.
It's still pretty bizarre to me because
and the footprint of a USB 3.1A plug is actually quite large. They might have been able to get 2 Thunderbolt plugs in that area.
Yeah, and this picture shows
Well, it looks like a Thunderbolt plug.
Shows an A connector and also shows what appears to be a Thunderbolt connector, but this might be an older one or something.
That's
I'm not sure. The rumors are kind of all over the place right now, but one challenge right off the bat, although USB 3.1 should address this with display over USB being much easier, is that people are not necessarily going to be set up. But then again, so I was going to say set up with all the cables and everything that they need, but then Apple's never been ashamed of charging you $60 for a cable with your MacBook anyway. Who knows what they're going to do, but I know for sure that I want to check out the UX 305, that ZenBook from Asus, because that one looks outstanding.
Yeah.
Broadwell, while not exciting on the desktop, looks like it's going to be
super cool on laptop.
Really cool on laptop, really cool on notebook. Did you see the 12.5-inch Asus super thin Transformer Book Qi T300 tablet?
No, I was checking out all the Lenovo stuff. They have a lot of really cool yogas, which are super crazy thin yogas that are basically as thin as tablets when you fold them.
A yoga could win me over. I'm really disappointed that Dell kind of abandoned the Ferris wheel design for their convertibles. Because the new XPS 13, we do have a review unit coming, and I am going to check it out. It does look pretty awesome, but I really, really wish it was a 2-in-1, because even though I use the tablet functionality of this only very rarely,
it's still nice.
It's nice to have, and the hinge mechanism has been robust enough that it hasn't been a problem for me at all, and I don't mind the extra thickness in order to have that. So I would have liked to still have that opportunity. The other thing I'm really disappointed about, and I'm already planning to rip into Dell about for a good minute of the review, is that the top end SKU has only 8 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
Really? It's like they want me to only get a year out of my XPS 13.
8 gigs of RAM is like when I'm like, yeah, buy this kit so you could upgrade later.
Yeah. All right. AMD employee confirms new GPU with HBM. So HBM, or high bandwidth memory, is a stacked RAM technology co-developed by AMD and SK Hynix, similar to Hybrid Memory Cube, which is something that Micron was working on and that NVIDIA was backing and what had planned to release a GPU with this year. But since NVIDIA bet wrong, it looks like they're going to be stuck with GDDR5 until 2016, when they are going to be apparently jumping on the HBM bandwagon as well. So why do we need HBM? Well, there's a couple of good reasons. Dramatically better bandwidth. We're talking on the order of 4.5 times.
Insane. Right
from the start. And higher bandwidth is good, not only because it allows the GPU to transfer data extremely quickly from its video memory and to its video memory, but also because it simplifies the design of the chips and the PCBs, lowering the cost of the graphics card for the end user, in theory. Probably not. Probably they'll just take more margin on it, but you know how it is. In the very long term, it will drive costs down, because if you don't have to have these massive 384-bit, 512-bit designs, that's a lot of pins on the bottom of the GPU. That's a lot of memory modules, and that's a lot of traces. Then it does lower the cost significantly. So there's that. The rumored R9 380X will include it. That is supposed to be a 20 nanometer GPU and due sometime in the next few months here. The R9 390X is also rumored and is rumored to come with water cooling from the factory, just like the, I'm drawing a blank, R9 295X2. And I think that's pretty much it. It should be noted that our source for this is WCCF Tech. So I'm saying that at the end so everyone wouldn't just tune out immediately. And most of this stuff looks pretty credible and does align with stuff that we've heard already. And the fact that the source for some of this info, at least, was the LinkedIn pages of AMD employees, one of which seems to have been made at least not public, because I couldn't see it at this point, looks like it could be pretty credible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like HBM has been a secret. Hynix has been sampling it since late last year.
Yeah.
So it's been available. I'm pretty excited to see what that brings. NVIDIA may end up in a position where, for the first time in a while, they have maybe a performance competitive part, but perhaps not a cost competitive part, and they might have to give up some of those juicy margins they've been making for the last couple of years. Because Titan X, which is what the internet is kind of calling it now, the fully enabled Maxwell that should power, Tesla, Quadro, and then very high-end Titan-grade GPUs on the desktop, is still out there. We don't know too much about it, other than that it'll apparently have around 3,000 CUDA cores. But it's going to be a really large die and therefore very expensive to produce, since NVIDIA had planned to skip 20 nanometer and instead go straight to 16 nanometer, except that that's been delayed by TSMC due to difficulties, and Samsung as well, for that matter. Intel's the only one with working 1X class nanometer manufacturing right now, and I don't think Intel's going to run around making GPUs for NVIDIA anytime soon. Although maybe.
That would be a really interesting collab. I seriously don't think it would happen.
Totally not happening. Intel always reserves their best for themselves, and apparently Apple.
Yeah.
So that was rumored a couple weeks ago, I think. But could be an interesting year. AMD might be able to fight back. I mean, FreeSync is a big one, because I've been blowing that G-Sync trumpet for a long time. Not because I love NVIDIA so huggy-muggy much and I think they're just the cuddliest, most wonderfulest people ever, but because it's a legitimately much better gaming experience. And if FreeSync delivers on what it promises, and we're going to have FreeSync monitors coming into our office here soon, then
that'll be a cool showdown.
I mean, what else is there? NVIDIA still has GeForce Experience, which I personally don't use because I have no problem configuring my in-game settings. Their 3D is much better, but stereo 3D is basically dead in the water at this point.
And then multi-monitor.
And then multi-monitor, I'd say AMD is going to have the edge there. Yeah. So FreeSync could be a huge win for them, especially if monitor availability is as good as they're saying, with, I think it was 11 monitors now, and then up to 20 by the end of the year.
Wow, that's solid.
And talking to Asus, they were, it's funny, talking to them at CES, they actually weren't sure if their monitor that they know works with FreeSync was even going to work with it, because communication was kind of bleh all over the place. But now it's come out that even though that monitor is not FreeSync certified, there is no mandatory certification process or anything like that. So if ASUS wants to have a FreeSync compatible monitor that's not certified, that's fine, and it'll work just fine.
Interesting.
Very cool. As long as the scalar technology and the firmware on the monitor both support the tech.
Right, yeah.
Cool, hey?
That's interesting.
All right.
I wonder what the certification process is, because I still see buyer confidence being a little iffy if it's not actually certified.
I think so too, and AMD, I believe, said that there's... Okay, I can't remember what they said about the fee structure, so basically don't quote me on this. But it was something along the lines of they're not charging for, like, a badge on the box the way that NVIDIA has in the past with certain technologies, or the way that, someone like MLG will charge BenQ to have, the MLG... certified gaming monitor or whatever else. But I believe there would be a cost associated with the certification process,
right?
Just because those things do cost money, because they would likely be done by a third party, not by AMD at all.
Which is better.
Which is life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Should we do our sponsors for the day?
That's probably not a bad idea.
I love it when this works out like this. I'm wearing my Squarespace shirt today.
There you go.
It's like so comfy and like. It's American Apparel, and the printing on it is, like, excellent. It still looks like the day I got it. I love this shirt.
I know, I'm jealous.
Squarespace.com. They make great shirts.
Well, it's an American Apparel shirt.
Yeah.
They put their logos on
They put their logos on great shirts. And they put your logos on great websites. Squarespace.com is
You put your logos on great websites.
Yes, but they help you. They provide the platform that lets you put your logo on a great-looking website. Squarespace makes it easy to design and build and host a gorgeous website that works great on a computer, works great on a tablet, works great on a smartphone, and scales appropriately, and just generally puts your best image forward when people visit your site, whether it's for a store or a blog or just hey, this site is about me and here's a picture of my cat. Squarespace has got you taken care of. And they even offer a lot of other services as well. So little things like the fact that they have their logo creator means that you can save your brand new company a couple bucks, because that kind of stuff isn't cheap if you outsource it, by giving you something that might not be the most unique thing in the world, but it's at least a functional logo right off the bat. They also allow you to have affordable images that are, who was the Getty Images?
Yeah.
Was the image service that they work with, so that you can have beautiful images on your website instead of whatever it is that you created in MS Paint, which, by the way, we'll be doing some MS Paint artwork on the after party for the custom forum badges that we owe some people from the Kickstarter campaign. And basically it's, what else is there that's really left to say? Right, if you buy a whole year at a time, then they throw in a basic cost domain, and they'll cover that for the first year. And it's got everything from simple tools to ones that even guys with some web development experience can really sink their teeth into to customize their viewers' experience. And yeah, basically they're good guys. They've been sponsoring us a long time, and if you're looking to build a website, I can't think of anything that makes more sense than Squarespace. I was going to kind of qualify that statement. I was going to say I can't think of anything that makes a lot more sense than Squarespace, but I can't think of anything that makes more sense than Squarespace. So visit squarespace.com/Linus for a free trial and 10% off.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to our next sponsor today.
Funny story.
Yes.
Before we move on, I have a friend that made a website in WordPress, and I'm probably going to be getting them a Squarespace account for them, so that I can read their website on Squarespace, because I'm highly frustrated with WordPress.
Right. Are they getting your help with it? Like, is that the problem?
Yeah. That's what I've actually. It's kind
You've been avoiding saying that throughout the time you've been talking about your friend's website. I was like, why does he keep bringing up his friend's website?
Yes, it's like the same thing where if I'm building someone's computer, sometimes I'll make them get a better case.
Right.
So I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this thing. Anyways.
But if you don't want to ask Luke to help you with the coding for your website, Boom! Segue. There's lynda.com. Lynda.com allows you to learn online, whether it's coding, digital photography, video editing, actually all like business, all kinds of cool stuff, even if it's, for a personal hobby or whether it's for, developing new career options for yourself. Lynda.com is a great way to learn online. They have new content added every week from industry experts, and you can do it completely at your own pace. I mean, oh, come on. Ultimately, what do they care? It's a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
Very affordably priced, by the way. Monthly subscriptions, so ultimately, they're not going to, put a bunch of pressure on you with deadline this and, required exam that. No, they want you to learn at your own pace and just enjoy all the high-quality content that they have in order to better yourself in whatever way it happens to be. We get tons of positive feedback about lynda.com from our viewers, so lynda.com, you guys are awesome. Viewers, you guys are awesome for learning and all that good stuff, and I think that's pretty much all there is to say. If you're not sure if lynda.com is right for you, or if you just want to get some idea, how high quality is the content?
Sure.
Then go ahead and visit lynda.com/WAN Show for a free 10-day trial, and you can try it out with no obligation.
Hooray!
Hooray!
My Google Docs is freaking out right now. Anyways, what do you want to do next?
I don't know. What should we do? Oh, let's do Grand Theft Auto 5 for PC delayed. This was posted by Werto165 on the forum. I'll go ahead and post the link. It's okay.
Okay.
I got this. So basically, the internet's freaking out, and bros be mad, and their butts hurt, and
they shouldn't be.
All this kind of stuff. So it's been delayed several times. So there's that. Delayed again to the 24th of March. And what I have to say about all of this is, A, screw you, Rockstar, for not at least trying to get the PC version out in a somewhat timely manner, like right near the PS4 and Xbox One versions at the very least. And 2, screw you guys who are complaining about them delaying it, because they've come right out and said it needs a few more weeks of testing and polish to make it as good as it can be.
Yes, please shut up.
Just shut your mouth.
God.
They've said we're getting it. They're not just going console exclusive on it, which is something we could legitimately be mad about it. And they've said the reason we don't have it yet is because they want to port it properly. I mean, again, screw you, Rockstar, for opening up your pre-orders. And all of you guys, please don't pre-order it, because we shouldn't be giving them money until they deliver it to us. But we also shouldn't be upset that they haven't delivered it to us yet if it's not ready yet. I'd rather have a finished game. And you know what? I've even seen people posting on Reddit, and even in our forum, I thought I saw one of these. It's like, I'd rather have it have a few bugs and be playing it now. You would be saying the exact opposite thing if this was Assassin's Creed Unity or Watch Dogs.
We have
Mind you, Watch Dogs
come
was
out. We
whole
have
other thing.
a Far Cry come out. We have Watch Dogs come out. Ubisoft, hooray! Whoa. We have H1Z1. We have all these
Changing my
other
shirt.
various problems. We're gonna get such a huge viewer count. So like all these launches that just go terribly.
If I cover the nipples with the Powered by Linus Tech Tips, I should be okay. I'm going to claim that Twitch told me that, but they definitely didn't.
I feel like you're going to screw up at some point. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
You made it. Okay.
I'm a nipple management expert.
We have all these terrible launches that people freak out about justifiably. And then we have someone go like, oh, okay, we don't want to be in that boat. Let's fix this before we launch it. And people freak out. What are you doing? God.
We have to be united and decide what we want. What we want is games that work at the beginning.
Yes.
When we first install them without 20 gigs of patches or whatever else.
And then oh man, what was it? Unity that came out with like, you should probably have a 680. Was that Unity? Assassin's Creed Unity?
I don't remember.
Some game. I don't know. I don't care already. But some game came out, probably Unity, that needed way too high performance stuff, and everyone freaked out because they couldn't run it. And then GTA comes out, and they're like, "Oh, I expected it to like look better and have higher requirements." I'm like, God damn it, PC community. Anyways, sorry.
All right.
We can probably move on now.
Yeah, I guess that's all there is to really say about that, isn't there? More gaming news. This is from PlayStationing.com. Sony is making $50 million a month from PlayStation Plus. Isn't that incredible? Do you want to post this? It's okay. I can do it.
I got it.
Are you sure? Because I got it. I got it. No, I got it. I did it first. Boom.
Oh,
You lost.
disappointed.
So let's go ahead and fire this up. No freaking wonder Microsoft got all over that Xbox Live Gold nonsense and turning multiplayer into a paid service. Because if you're going to try and tell me that you're spending $50 million a month to make the online gaming experience...
Would you pay $5 a month for Steam?
Does it include content?
No.
No, of course not.
Well, it includes free games. TF2. Stuff like that.
No. I don't want to play TF2. Yeah, absolutely not.
So you wouldn't use the Steam service if it costs $5 a month?
No, I think I'm already paying for the Steam service by buying my games through them. So they're already taking a cut.
No, like we have to like assume you don't have a Steam account yet. Like we're
Okay.
like this is not this realm of reality. So your options are buying things on the Steam service or buying them directly. Like there's
buying them at a store.
There's
playing
or
online.
there's like a download link from the company.
So if they forced me, if I wasn't allowed to play online, unless I paid $5 a month for Steam.
No, that's not even that's an interesting discussion, but that's not the one I'm trying to send
okay.
out.
So
I'm
would I pay $5
like
a month just for what Steam is today?
Essentially,
Steam in-home streaming,
the Steam in-home streaming,
free games,
Steam Music, some free games, the unification of chat, Steam Overlay, the download service, which is a lot better than most, all of that kind of stuff. Would you pay $5 a month for that? I feel like straw polling this.
Wow, straw poll it. Wow, that's tough. If my other choice was to not have it, because a lot of the...
Okay, you'd still be able to play
Yeah.
multiplayer and stuff, but you'd have to deal with all the...
But a lot of the argument that I make for boycotting something like PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold, where I just kind of went, look, guys, if we all refused to pay for it, it would go away like that. A lot of the argument that I make for that is based on the fact that we have it for free on the PC, so you have other options that you could take advantage of. If you were taking away my option of not having any platform where I don't have to pay an additional fee for the overlay, like even something like Steam Big Picture, you could look at as a value add for people who want to use Steam to even just manage their library of games. So if I had no choice, and the only other option was like Windows Explorer, /program files / codemaster / grid / like if that's it, would I pay $5 a month? It's not a lot of money. I probably would. I would probably sign up for it once out of frustration, and then I'd forget about it, and I'd just kind of do it forever.
That's kind of how it was, and I think if Steam wasn't there, a lot of those services that you have that kind of bring them all together wouldn't exist. Now, to be completely honest, if Steam wasn't there, I bet you the Windows Games folder kind of idea probably would have actually stuck around, and that was fantastic, and that really should still be a thing. But... yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting idea that popped into my head.
Can you Hangouts me this?
The Strawpoll thing?
Yeah, the Strawpoll.
Sure.
So I can go ahead and post the
You just
results.
want the
Oh
results?
crap!
Do you want the results or
I
the
didn't realize I
voting
was still screen sharing. Yeah, I want the results link.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter. I can navigate to the results link on my own. Doop de doop. Thank you.
So far, it's looking like about 43% of people are saying no, 31% of people are saying Austin's nipple, and 26% of people are saying yes.
All right, here we go. I'll get those results visually for you guys there. There we go. So, yeah, a lot of no, a lot of I refuse to say anything relevant about this. And then actually, the fact that 26% of you are saying yes is a strong indicator to me that if Valve did decide to charge for the service, they might actually generate a lot of subscriptions. I mean, we're probably not a long way off. I suspect they'll never make it mandatory, but an optional subscription that gives you extra features, a la Gold or Plus.
Yeah.
I don't think
Plus.
I don't think multiplayer will ever be one of those additional features for something like Steam. But if it gave you additional,
well, that's why I took the multiplayer element out of that whole discussion.
But if it gave you additional community interaction features or some other benefits, I mean, people pay for hats. Like, what if all it did was drop you a care package from time to time with a hat in it that's exclusive to people who are Steam Plus members?
I bet you they'd get way more. Oh my god. And that's something that Steam would totally do. Oh man, if you got like random in-game items in Valve games.
I hope Gabe's not watching right now. It's like, hey, we could have this rolled out like tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. And the thing is, okay, not harping on the people that said no too much, but I myself kind of sit in the no camp right now because I could see myself using other systems to manage my games.
Right.
Although, however annoying that would be, myself and a lot of people in the no camp, that might change if you didn't have limited of like 5 minutes to think about this answer. If you were then sitting on your computer months from now and you couldn't remember what freaking game you owned or where the key was that you could download it off the website because they have bad account management and you're dealing with all these other crap things, and you could just be like, well, could just get Steam, inject all my games there, and then be fine. I don't know. I see more of those no's changing. I see myself maybe being a little bit more flexible. I don't know. It's interesting.
All right, what's our next topic here?
None of that is a thing at all. It's just kind of a thought experiment.
Yeah, this is just us making things up.
Yep. Okay, so, yes, very fortunately. We can jump to a few things, actually.
Oh, there's the Marriott abandoning their quest to block personal Wi-Fi hotspots. This is from inc.com. I'm going to go ahead and fire this up. You want to post it in the chat?
Yep.
So this was ridiculous. Basically, they got slammed with, I think it was a $600,000 fine when it was discovered that they were intentionally blocking their users' personal Wi-Fi hotspots, like on their phones, from functioning in the rooms. And then they apologized, and then they turned around and tried to get permission from the FCC to implement that technology in places like conference rooms. Freaking for real? And they claimed this was to prevent people from showing up in Marriott hotels, creating unauthorized hotspots with the intention of stealing data and information from the patrons of the hotel. And I kind of go, okay, that is a scenario that probably happened like once, and there are other ways to get around something like that. And I think it was fairly obvious, like on the surface of this, that this was all about trying to get people to pay additional for Wi-Fi in the hotel, especially business customers who are coming in for conferences. And the FCC received 39 comment letters. This is from the Inc.com article. Received 39 comment letters on the issue, of which 38 were negative, and one was either neutral or off topic. Google and Microsoft were among those registering their opposition. So at least they're on the same side about something right now.
Yeah, really.
And I'm glad it's that.
Not really getting along everywhere, but they're such big companies that I guess parts of them can get along with other parts. Sigh.
All right.
We've got the Tesla thing.
Let's do the Obama thing.
Sure.
Yeah, so this was originally posted in the forum by Lightning.
I got it.
And you got it? Okay. Yep. Obama calls for an end to 19 state laws that harm community broadband. This is awesome because Obama calling for the internet to be reclassified as a utility marked a bit of a turning point, maybe not in the FCC chairman Tom Wheeler's thoughts about whether or not it would be Title II. Maybe he was already leaning that way, but it definitely brought about a change in his actions and what he was saying publicly about it. And it looks like Obama's going to kind of keep moving forward with this whole, if we want to be a developed nation, let's face it, we've already got, sewage, we've already got electricity, mostly, other than that it can be extremely expensive. We've already got water, again, mostly. Actually, really interesting conversation with Taryn about how things work with the Colorado River and allocating the water. Yeah, he was saying that the way, like any downstream states get an allocation in gallons, so if the flow is less, Colorado's actually the first one to not get any water from the Colorado River. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. So anyway, they've got most stuff mostly figured out, and yet they're lagging behind on broadband because of either cost or legislative challenges that exist that prevent any startup from becoming an internet service provider and kind of going, you know what? Hey, those margins, that profitability, that's not good enough for AT&T. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. I mean, it stifles competition. That's the principle that this entire country, and I mean by this I mean the USA. I don't live there, you know, but that entire country was built on was competition and capitalism. And if you just legislate the crap out of anyone being able to compete, then you end up in a situation where it's this monopolistic nonsense, and it's not quite a monopoly. So this was a really interesting chunk of the article. Yes, here we go. At speed, so with the old broadband classification of, I believe it was 3 down, 1 up? 4 down, 1 up. 75% of consumers have a choice between 2 or more fixed providers. And 15% can select among 3 or more, which I would even still say is
way too low.
Abominable.
Yeah, it's terrible.
However, in the market for internet service that can deliver 25 megabit downstream, I mean, we're talking the speed at which you could pretty much do anything on the internet. Like, you know, Netflix,
acceptable. In
you know,
my opinion.
HD YouTube, stuff like that.
Modern day acceptable.
3 out of 4 Americans had no choice between providers. I mean, when was this ever acceptable? I mean, I hate to be critical when they're finally speaking up and doing the right things, but why did this take so long? And when's Canada gonna
figure it out?
Follow suit like we always do?
Yeah. it'll take us a couple of years and then we'll get there.
And, you know, I've seen a lot of people wearing their cynicism hats, and especially on our forum, where a lot of our community is international, and sort of going, well, this is only because the election's coming up. I mean, okay, maybe there's some pressure from the Democratic Party to, you know, improve Obama's popularity, so whoever their new candidate coming in will have a better chance of winning the upcoming election. But, guys, Obama cannot be reelected. This is his second term. You can only serve 2 4-year terms in the United States. So it's not like Obama personally wants to be the president for another 4 years and is therefore trying to win a popularity contest by, you know, making, especially a lot of this focuses on community broadband initiatives. So smaller community ISPs or even municipalities themselves, enabling them to utilize their existing infrastructure. So whether it's power or sewage or whatever else, to run lines and create their own broadband providers. Don't remember where I was going with that. The sentence kind of ends here.
It's not hugely beneficial for himself necessarily.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about elections coming up.
And it's not just it's not a popularity contest. I mean, it's a fact that access to high-speed internet breeds creativity and gives people more options to better themselves. I mean, let's go back to one of our sponsors for a minute here. Yeah. Lynda.com. What, are you gonna use Lynda.com video tutorials on dial-up? No? That's ridiculous. I mean, what if your Lynda.com membership is really reasonably priced, but your internet connection has such a small cap that by the time you watch the instructional videos, you're actually paying a ton more just to educate yourself and potentially improve your prospects in terms of your career path. I mean, it's absurd. Inexpensive broadband has become something we need, not something that should be a privilege for the wealthy. So, that's it. Kudos.
Yeah. Very happy about that whole situation.
The FCC is already examining these state laws and considering whether it can invalidate them by using its authority to promote competition in telecommunications already. So, good. All the progress. Let's make it happen.
Jumping to a not necessarily happier note, but a funnier note, we can do the beautiful thing.
Yeah, oh my goodness. This is ridiculous.
We just want to have some entertainment.
I mean, speaking of things that should be illegal, let's, dang it. All right, here we go. Okay, I'll post it. Our original source for this was CNET.
I got it.
But their article is down, so the Telegraph article is still live. This is a restaurant.
There's actually a different CNET article now, but don't worry about it. I was trying to I should have fixed the link. I was trying to figure it out earlier.
Okay, so there's a restaurant that promises free meal for good looking.
Now, they've been forced to take down that sign.
Yeah.
The local government forced them to take down the sign.
Yeah, like, showed up with a wrecking crew. It was like, we are taking down that sign. Because that's embarrassing.
But they have vowed to continue the promotion regardless. How this works is there's a scanner and there's a panel of surgeons which are plastic surgeons, which are in cahoots with the restaurant for a sponsorship.
Paying a sponsorship. Oh, sorry, I'm in my dashboard now. I always forget about that.
For essentially advertisement, so you can go there, get told you're not good looking, and then be referred to those people to become better looking. Oh, ridiculous.
And so apparently it's not flat out like you're good looking, you get a free meal. You're not good looking, you get a full price meal. It's like there's a sliding scale.
Really?
So you could be pretty good looking and you could get like 30% off or something. Like I'm making up the exact numbers. But really, like that's just gross. And I'm not just saying this because I don't think I'd be getting a discount. I just think that is absolutely disgusting.
One thing I noticed is that OP, Mr. Amp12345, states in his second paragraph, as someone who has had things given to me or gotten discounts because of the clerk thought I was good looking, I was unsure how I felt about this. So my new idea is that we, as a Linus Detectives community, need to find Amp12345, take him, bring him to the restaurant, and then just all eat there until they're bankrupt.
So we're going to force feed Amp.
No. He can get all the food and we can just eat it.
Oh, I see. I think they probably would catch on to that.
No,
it's a very smart idea, though.
Fine.
You did very well.
Thank you.
You did very well. I'm very proud of you.
I just want to utilize Amp's obviously tried and true amazingly good looks.
This was posted by Tedster, and since we're on the topic of just completely stupid things right now, this Kickstarter by Paul Boyle is
€30. He probably did it himself.
Well, he has 7 backers. 7 backers totaling €30. That doesn't even divide evenly.
He made 7 Kickstarter accounts and then got bored and went and ate a burger.
So, I mean, you can see that this is clearly not intended to be serious, but the plan is to reconstruct the player Michael's house from the game Grand Theft Auto 5 to scale, and the rewards are ridiculous. I mean, for
$5,000, you can stay there for 3 nights.
For €4, you get pictures and a video of it. For €400, you get a personalized title with image and info of your choice added to the bottom of Michael's swimming pool. For €900, you get to visit the house and have a tour around it at your leisure. And for €5,000, you get to visit and stay in it for 3 nights. I just thought it was kind of funny. He figures he needs... the FAQ. This is pretty good. Who will the house belong to? Will the donators get a share in the final build? Are you giving it to charity? No shares, I'm afraid. Given the small chance that it's funded, the final build will be sold and donated to the choice of charity voted by the backers. Which, I mean, the last time anyone believed that a Kickstarter for charity was actually going to a charity was, 2013?
Yeah, not that long ago.
Yeah. This Kickstarter hasn't been around that long.
No. But, yeah, in internet years, it's been quite a while.
Yep. I don't know. Is there anything else interesting?
There's the not super amazingly interesting Tesla news, but I can talk about it regardless.
Sure, yeah. Let's talk about the 3.
So there's honestly not a ton to say. This article exploded.
Posted by Victoria's Secret, by the way.
Yep, this article exploded. I can get this into the chat. And it's kind of an interesting conversation, but people were like, oh my god, the Tesla 3 is so amazing. There's not actually that much information here about the Tesla 3.
Oh, this is the Model X
delayed
again.
That's the Model X, yeah. So...
And once again, we shouldn't be complaining about the delay, even though it kind of sucks, because they're saying that they're just trying to do it right. Anyway,
they've sold out like the first manufacturing year of this thing anyways, so whatever. Anyways, the feds give about $7,500 for electric cars, apparently. This is in the States. I don't really know. So when Chevy came out and was talking about their Bolt, which is supposed to be a Tesla competitor, they were touting it as a $30,000 price tag vehicle. This is a response. Elon Musk in an interview was like, well, ours is, what is it? 35,000. So using their logic, it's actually 27,500.
Right.
That was the whole actual point of this article. Now this thing exploded. This got everywhere. Like automotive subreddit, it was like massive at front page, all this kind of stuff. It's all he's talking about is that he didn't include incentives in the price of $35,000. That's all it really was. As we already knew, You're going to be able to customize it, add options, a lot of things that are actually on the Model S. If you like something very specifically that's on the Model S, you might be able to include it on your 3, but that will obviously increase the cost, so it could be more expensive in the end. So your version of the Model 3 might end up being the same cost as a Bolt. Who knows, because you can configure them. Yeah, one cool quote that came from it, though, which is interesting, is that Musk said the Model 3, in brackets, will be way different from any other car on the road, but in a way that's really useful and doesn't just make it a weird mobile.
Weird mobile.
So I don't know what that means, but yeah, I love Tesla news. This exploded, but it wasn't actually... Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so this is interesting to me because I'm Canadian. Sony is shutting all of their Canadian stores. I've got the article here.
When was the last time you went to a Sony store?
Wow, I posted it already. I totally get it because I don't think Sony stores really have any reason to exist, especially when a lot of the time they were just a place where you couldn't shop for any other brand of product. And the pricing wasn't better, often worse, because it wouldn't have the same promotions. Because it's really awkward for most manufacturers. Apple doesn't seem to give a rat's ass, but most manufacturers to have their own branded store that competes head-to-head against their customers. So they have to prove to their customers, whether it's a Best Buy or whoever else, that they're not trying to undercut them and steal customers from them. And at the same time, they have to sustain their employees and the retail spaces.
The one Sony store I've ever been to, the one time I went to it, was just terrible anyways. They had a really bad selection of Sony products.
Yeah, so anyway, so Sony store closing stores. Oh, apparently Mex and Jacob are closing a whack of stores. But for me, the big one right now is actually Target. So yes. Target opened up the Canadian territory in 2012, I want to say.
I thought it was 13. I could be wrong, though.
Was it 13? Has it really been that short?
Years. I think it's been 2 years. I could be wrong, though. Let me...
Well, it's only barely 2015 right now. Anyway, the point is, Target actually purchased, at least here in BC, all of the Zellers locations when Zellers went bankrupt and disappeared. So they had a total of 133 big box stores, and they will be exiting. Okay, apparently they launched in Canada in March 2013, so they didn't even last 2 years. And they will be shutting all of the stores, putting 17,000 employees out of work, and taking a $5.4 billion loss in that period of time.
There's a lot of problems. One of the huge one was distribution. They came in and got 133 stores going, but didn't have a proper distribution chain for them. So you'd have a lot of issues where you'd go to Target and there's just nothing on the shelves.
Yep.
So how are you supposed to buy it? How are they supposed to make any money? So they just were hemorrhaging money, didn't have distribution going, went in way too fast and way too hard, totally screwed up, and then their solution was to just close everything and bail. So in under 2 years, they got 133 stores going, filled them with 17,600 employees, fired all those employees, closed all of those stores, and took off.
So Target said exiting Canada would allow it to focus resources on the U.S. market. I mean, I don't know.
Misguided.
I don't know. And I read one article that suggested that, the lack of staples that Canadian consumers are used to going down to Target US and buying and bringing back up here, things that just don't exist in Canada. I can't remember what the example of it was, but
I'm not actually.
It wasn't this article. It was one that suggested that the lack of some chocolate something or other might have been the reason for Target's failure, because maybe people walked in thinking they were going to buy cool stuff that they're used to buying at Target and they weren't able to. But honestly, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think it was just too much, too fast. Yeah. I mean, we were talking to Burkle about this before the show started, and he's like, yeah, they opened one in, what did he say, Vernon?
Vernon.
They opened one in Vernon. It's like, there's not even that many people in Vernon. I mean, did they even check?
And they already have a Walmart. They barely need a Walmart, and they already have one.
And I think Vernon has a Costco too. So it's like, you're going to go up against Costco and Walmart, which have been there for years already, and you're going to just hope that, people magically sprout from the earth and come shop in your store? Like, try to build a sustainable business model first. And obviously, I'm not an expert. I've never run a big box store, but it just seems like there's a lot of mistakes in the past that we could have learned from. And this is actually just the Target shutting down reminded me of this. My housing development that I live in was built about 30 years ago. And we still have, from the previous owners, the brochure that was the sales brochure for people shopping for houses in that neighborhood. And it's really cool. It's like an accessible place to live. Easily accessible from virtually any direction. The property is bounded by a bunch of places. The first project of its kind in this area, blah, 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 provides quick access to the interior of British Columbia and to the rest of the Lower Mainland. On the other hand, it's only 2 or 3 minutes away from, okay, so there's a shopping center, home to Woodward's, Eaton's, Woolco, Marks and Spencer, and over 200 other fine stores. Have you heard of any of them?
No.
A few minutes further, you'll find Simpson Sears. So, okay, Sears.
Oh, okay.
Simpson Sears and the Bay.
Okay, the Bay.
And that
Simpsons
Bay and those Sears, neither of them exists anymore.
Oh my goodness.
That is so hilarious. And
Canada has proven to be an interesting market because of how we're laid out. And one of the huge, important, super crazy, obvious things about opening a very large amount of stores, especially in somewhere super huge like Canada, is freaking distribution. What are you thinking? Yes, we're maybe not the most educated people on opening a massive amount of stores, but do any amount of research at all. Look at how Best Buy came into Canada, which was actually a very effective takeover. They bought Future Shop, which was kind of our version of Best Buy, and then just took over all their warehouses. They bought Future Shop for their warehouses. That was the reason. Because they're like, oh, distribution will be a problem. Let's solve that problem. God, that's so dumb. There could have been so many problems, but their whole thing it was hard to make money when we couldn't keep things on the shelves because not necessarily that too many people were buying them, but we couldn't put things on the shelves because we didn't have them. That's so bad.
We're getting a bunch of people talking about how apparently a couple of those are big over in Europe. And but that's exactly it. It's been tried and failed so many times that you would think they would have done at least a couple sort of case studies and tried to make sure that they were going to have a chance of success in Canada.
Yeah. Or even open 5 stores.
Yeah.
And just slowly figure it out.
So you could lose let's do the rough napkin math. So that's about 1/50th as many stores as they opened, so it'd be 1/50th as much loss. So so a loss in the order of what, tens or hundreds of millions as opposed to billions,
which is still a lot,
but less.
And for a company of that size, more growing pain size instead of oh my god complete failure size.
There was a whole thing this week where apparently Microsoft appeared to be not allowing YouTubers to put the title of a game in the name of their YouTube video, but they've clarified it's apparently not that big of a deal. You are apparently supposed to add a disclaimer in your description saying something along the lines of that the game was made by Microsoft and the video is not endorsed by them. There's official text for it. This was posted by Cobbs360 on the forum, and you're not allowed to mislead people into thinking it's a Microsoft video, but I think that was just people freaking out over a wording issue. I'm glad Microsoft got it rectified.
Pretty quick, to be honest.
The main concern was that you couldn't call something like Red versus Blue the Halo show or something along those lines, using the trademarking correctly. You had to come up with your own name if you were going to do something that was more along the lines of a show and less along the lines of strict gameplay or multiplayer footage.
But you could do a Halo gameplay and it would be fine.
Yeah, as long as you have your disclaimer.
Yep.
LG had a nitrogen leak in their factory. This was the original articles from independent.co.uk. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Very, very unfortunate. 2 were killed. 4 have taken ill since the incident. Basically, not a whole lot is known. One of them died on the scene. One of them died on the way to the hospital. That's something that we often don't consider about these electronic doodads that we enjoy so much, is there's a lot of harmful and dangerous stuff that goes on in order to manufacture them. Yeah. The NZXT DOKO, this was posted by Brown Ninja on the forum. Original article here is from Tech Power Up. Promises 50 to 80 milliseconds of latency and promises basically your computer experience on well, basically anywhere you want on your TV. Luke has a review unit, and I know is planning to work on it maybe once you've got the motherboard roundup done. Or...
I've got to do the motherboard roundup and maybe one other thing, and then I'll probably be on Doko.
Yeah, it looks cool. The only disadvantage right now, so it's got USB ports, and it uses USB over IP in order to make it so if you plug in a keyboard, it's basically like having that keyboard plugged into the computer you're using.
I've been able to use it to a certain degree.
Have you used it already?
I'm not my own unit. But I was able to use it while it was still under NDA at CES. And the USB over IP is actually pretty freaking good.
Cool.
I was able to use a keyboard and mouse, and I was able to use a flash drive, and I was able to use a... they plugged in the Microsoft wireless dongle and then had me using a wireless controller, which I was actually more worried about than just plugging in a controller directly. But it worked totally fine.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
It's only 1080p 30 FPS, but I'm hoping that we'll see a Doku Extreme or Doku Plus or something along those lines.
One thing I can leak a little bit, because it's not under NDA anymore, is that the processing power and stuff in that unit is not exactly amazing.
Right.
And if there is a lot of interest shown, they could release a higher end version, which could do more FPS or whatever. So... yeah, tell them that you want one.
Okay, well, I think that's pretty much it for the show today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are planning to